Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Soul Podcasting Podcast. I have got an awesome guest today. He has quite a story to tell. His name is Cauveé. He is the #1 edutainer in the world with a purpose to awaken dreamers and a mission to edify and uplift humanity. He's an inspiration engineer. He's a TEDx speaker as well, and he has the Rise and Sip methodology framework, which we're going to talk about soon about what all of this means. He has quite a story though, so I want him to get into his story, and we're going to find out so much about him and how he can help us as podcasters. But first off, welcome to the show, Cauveé.
Hey, thank you for having me, Demetria. It's been a huge honor. I'm super grateful. I'm super excited to dive in and share, really what these things mean. There's a lot of people that are just like, what is an inspiration engineer? Like, what does that even mean? And so we'll definitely deep dive, but thank you for allowing me to be here and serve.
Awesome. I'm so glad you're here. And I know that you have quite a story. So we're going to start with that. You have a story from homeless to Huffington Post. And when I saw that, I said, I have to know what that is. We need to really just kind of break into the idea of how your story is translated to how you do your life today, and your branding and everything that you do today stands on everybody has a story, but your story is unique. So can you please tell us about it?
Absolutely. I'm gonna jump back a little bit further though in the story, because it leads the domino effect to the Huffington Post that you want to know about as far as being homeless and what you just said. So I'm from a middle-class family in the Midwest, and my father used to give me what I call these hero speeches. Well, son, anything you want to do, you can do. Anything you believe, like you can make it happen, right? From age 5 to 11. At age 11, I went into a peak state, not knowing that's what it was, in the studio, making beats with my first mentor, putting my poetry on the beats. And I knew with absolute certainty, Demetria, I'm going to be a musician. So I tell my father this the next day on the basketball court. Dad, I figured out what I'm going to do. Figured out what I'm going to be. My dad's like, what is it, son? What are you going to do with your life? I'm going to be a musician. Let's go. And he's like, you can't do that. For me, that was very traumatizing, more than most kids, because my father is still my hero. I still love my dad. But what that taught me was the gift of ferocity for those that don't see greatness in you, because potentially they don't see greatness in themselves. And if I had a father and parents that are great parents, they're just not entrepreneurial or dreamers in that way. What about people that don't have parents? What about people who, orphans or bad neighborhoods or, what have you? It's that much worse. So my mission, first and foremost, is to awaken dreamers to what is possible for you.
Yeah.
With that stated, as you said, I have a very unique story. I became locally famous at age 18, and I sold out a concert of 1,209 people as a musician. Okay. Now I say that saying from a very small town, but I say that saying I didn't want to do the traditional story that is amplified. And I hate it for the Black and brown community, which is go sell drugs, flip your drug money into your business venture capital and go do that. This is the Rick Ross story, the Lil Wayne story, the Jay-Z story. And I'm not knocking these brothers. I'm speaking facts. Like, go research it and go look it up. Still to this day, people do this. And I didn't want to do that. Right. So I just basically from that time, and now we're looking at 2002 all the way up to 2016. I'm going to cover a very large window in a short amount of time. I was always working in, you could say, corporate America while still doing events at night, but I never was making enough money to make it work. And 2010, 2011, what clicked was, okay, I'm now in Austin, Texas. I'm learning how the Facebooks of the world are being built, right? Mm-hmm. And what I'm noticing is the principle of success. For technology, you got to build an MVP, minimum viable product, right? And you need like 1,000 users to be able to do this. Entrepreneurs want to be on podcasts. Artists want to be on the radio. It's the exact same principle, though it's slightly different. So I said, I'm going to create a unique hybrid between both, and I'm going to be an edutainer. Now, at that time, leading up to what you're asking about, like, how did you become homeless? When you're navigating these nuances, my passion, like they say, do your one thing. And if music paid the way entrepreneurship paid, if the model was the same, I would never have been an entrepreneur or a coach or a speaker or anything else. I would have kept doing music. Music by far is 3,000 times harder as an entrepreneur to build a musician brand than it is to raise money and do all these things. So long story short, I decided that this was what I was going to do. And when you don't know how to raise money, when you don't have capital, capital is the bloodline to any business, right?
Right, right.
I didn't have enough resources to survive. So I was
Mm.
literally, and it was so ironic. I was on the 290 in Austin, Texas. They have a bridge called the 290. I'm sleeping in the wintry freezing cold in a sleeping bag,
Oof.
freezing my ass off, excuse my language,
Oh,
freezing.
wow. You're
And
cold.
I'm walking across the street to Starbucks because that was my office.
Yeah.
And while I'm homeless, I'm literally getting written about because in 2016, my very first student broke six figures in revenue. And I leveraged that case study to get written about in the Huffington Post. But here I am getting written about and published, and I'm homeless at the same time. And so it was it's a radical
Wow.
story in the sense of that is exactly the way
The
it teed up.
dichotomy of your life at the
The
moment.
dichotomy of it,
Yeah.
right? The irony, like it's
Yeah.
like look at this great hybrid strategist, but he's homeless at the time. So
Yeah.
that was what happened in 2016.
Whoa. Whoa. So I'm so invested in the story and I'm like, what happened next? But like I'm amazed at how you're able to take this and create this brand, this personal branding. Because like I said earlier, all of us have a story. And when we're coming to the microphone as podcasters, we have to allow ourselves the freedom to share, to be transparent, to connect with others. And I think that's one thing that, we love being polished, but polish is not everything, and sharing our story and being super transparent is important because that's how we're able to connect to someone all the way across the world in a whole different country. They're listening and they're saying, okay, I maybe I understand this, maybe I don't, but I'm feeling that connection to this individual. And so, how can podcasters, just based on what you're telling us so far, how can we use personal branding and storytelling to kind of play into our world as a host?
Yeah, I love that question. I think that as podcasters, first and foremost, everybody might want to start aligning to the idea that personal brands are going to be the wave of the future.
Yeah,
Why?
for
Because
sure.
everybody has access to a phone.
Right.
Everybody can be a media machine from this little thing in your hand
Yeah.
called your cell phone, right?
Hmm.
So when we look at global or corporate iconic brands, the Coca-Colas, the Nikes, the Teslas, the Apples, are there more of those or are there more celebrity brands? The
Mm.
Rocks, Kevin Hart's,
Hmm.
the Jessica Albas, the Damon Johns, right? There's more
Right.
celebrity personal brands. And what I'm noticing is a trend, and no arrogance, no ego, way ahead of the market, right? Way ahead of the market.
Hmm.
I'm going with the verbiage of personal brand portfolio, which is an extension of your personal brand, which is why The Rock has a skincare line. He's got Terramana tequila. He's got
Yeah.
all these additional things. And because you trust The Rock, because you love him as a wrestler who's also an actor,
Yeah.
you're like, oh, let me try this Terramana. Let me buy this
Exactly.
Project Rock shirt. Let me get this merch, right? So I'm starting to see more of this. And in the venture capital space, venture capitalists are now having the conversation that a startup that is more secure, and I'm using this loosely,
Hmm.
is one that has many multiple streams of revenue and monetization attached to its portfolio. So we're ahead of the market. So now you say, okay, how do you use that information as a podcaster? Your voice is powerful, right? Majority of people are going to learn either visually, audibly, or kinesthetically. So by being first off, we need to understand the psychology of how humans work because that's very important. When you're putting out content, like as we are right now, right? We're hitting on all three because even though you don't get to touch my skin, my voice, the boost that you're hearing in the energy that I'm delivering to you allows you to feel my spirit, right? And so you're being able to hit on all three. So now you say, okay, well, how do I take that information and I leverage it into revenue, or I leverage it into leads, or I leverage it into fill in the blank? Your
Right.
story is exactly what you were saying, Demetria. Your story is going to be able to like for people to be able to connect. Like, oh, I like music. Man, I had to put my music on the back burner because I couldn't figure out how to make that work. Or I played an instrument back in high school, or whatever that is. And then the
Yeah.
fact that it's like, oh, here's a person, and I'll say it like I hold no arrogance to it. I'm one of those people that I don't want to say I don't care. That's maybe a little too strong, but your thoughts have no impact on me. So
Right.
because someone doesn't understand what I'm doing, they're like, edutainer is not real, or inspiration engineer ain't real, or there's no such thing as the strategy industry. I love the quote by Arnold Schwarzenegger. He says, don't break the law, but break the rules.
There you
You
go.
get to set the rule. You get to set the
That's right.
boundaries. And I said, this is a true story so that you understand. I had 10 skills that I had mastered that didn't umbrella under the same category. So I was like, I'm inauthentic to myself. When I go to
Yeah.
Chamber of Commerce, I'm a salesperson. When I'm around marketers, I'm a marketer. When I'm around musicians, I'm an artist. I didn't like this. I didn't like having to change who I was, and I
Hmm.
felt inauthentic to myself. So I was like, yo, hey community, come, because I this is the beauty about being a podcaster or being a broadcaster,
Yeah.
right? You're going to develop a community. I went to my community with this problem and I said, hey, here's 10 titles. I don't know what I am. Help me. Somebody tell me
Help
what
me
I am.
figure it out.
Help me figure it out because I don't
Yeah.
know. And
Right.
so real talk, they voted from 10 to 5, 5 to 2, 2 to 1, and they chose inspiration engineer. So
Wow.
how does that tie into podcasting and what you're building, right? As a podcaster, you want to have, in all businesses for this matter, you want to have a narrative and a story that continues to recycle,
Yeah.
right? We
Yep.
don't always remember all the details, but we do remember stories. It's human psychology. And so the story gets people to lean in a little bit and like, what are you talking about?
Hmm.
Right.
Hmm.
But ultimately, we want to move as business owners, people that use their podcast as a business platform. We want to get people to move to some level of action. And normally that is invest in this opportunity, whatever that might
Right.
look like
Right.
behind the paywall, right? And so I'm saying that to say your story is going to enable you to do that. And by building a radically polarizing personal brand, I'm not political, but we'll just throw out there Donald Trump, super polarizing, Kanye West,
Yep.
super polarizing.
Yep.
By being polarizing, you magnetize people to the things that you want to talk about and you want to share about.
Wow.
And I think that is what podcasting enables you to be able to do.
It gives you an open platform to be whoever you want, to say what you need to say, what's in your heart, what's in your soul, and to be bold about it. And I love that you have created the, so there's quite a few things like you mentioned earlier, the so it was the inspiration engineer, right? And then you said you're the number one edutainer, your proprietary rise and sit methodology. These are things that you have created from your soul, things that you have decided this is what I am and this is what I stand for. And so I love that in podcasting, it's open. I love that in business, in branding, it's an open space, and we have a right to say, this is who I think I am right now. This is who I believe I am. This is what I want to bring to the table. So you've been called the number one edutainer. Break down for us what edutainment is, and then kind of the idea of how podcasters and how our guests can use this to create content that's meaningful and magnetic.
Absolutely. So I want to first piggyback off of the first thing you said, okay, which
Hmm.
is I want you guys to write this down. If you're driving, obviously you're not going to be able to write this down, but come back and notate it later. If you don't build and position your narrative, society is going to position it for you.
Oh, that's true.
Okay.
Yes.
So you want to set the tone.
Hmm.
You want to state who you are, what your identity is in this world. I ain't gonna get into no LGBTQ conversation, but if people can do it with gender, I can definitely do it as a profession. Okay.
Right.
So there's that part of it. If you Google edutainment, edutainment by Google's definition is teachers that bring gamification into the classroom.
Mm,
Okay. This would be like your Duolingos and things of this nature in order to
right.
learn.
Right.
But the reality, what I said was, no, that's not right. That's not accurate. Edutainment actually is any entertainment modality that is used to educate you on the other side and give you information that can radically transform your life. That's what
Hmm.
edutainment is.
Okay.
Okay. So with that stated, as I was watching this emerge, you got to remember, I'm like I am also figuring this out. Like it isn't like I have all the answers and I'm just like, this is what it is. I'm figuring this out at the time. My narrative has also evolved, Demetria. Like
Right.
if originally it was like break the box, like create your own lane, break the box. That was where it started.
Yeah.
Then it was build something that my father, crediting my father for this quote, he said, make sure you live a life with no regrets. And
Mm,
so phase two was live a life where you have a legacy that you can look back on and be happy about, proud about, content
yeah.
with. Yes. And
Yeah.
then it evolved one more time. Awaken dreamers. because 55% startups fail within the fifth year mark. 85% of people hate what they do, right? Majority of people take their genius to their grave. That's what I do. Okay. So as these things started to evolve, understand, folks, the wealthiest, where the wealth is, where the wisdom is in masterminds. And so I had coaches and I had mentors to help me come up with this. And when you said the rise and set, I didn't come up with that either. I didn't come up with that. One of my friends, he's phenomenal. His name is Jay Lee. Shout out to Jay Lee if you're listening to this. Sales Ninjas in the building. But he said, okay, so you build Rockstar Brands. He was the one that was like Rockstar Brands, and I was like, yeah. And within 3 seconds, he was like, R, Rockstar Brand. He said, I, increase visibility. S, sales explosion. He said, E, elevate authority. And then I had already had strategy, instruction, and programming. I had already had that. So then I added that, and it was like, boom, rise and sit for here. And that was how it came together. What is also funny is I hated my name, Cauveé. I hated it my entire life. I hated it. Okay. And so the way the name Cauveé, it is my actual name, by the way. It's not something I made up. But I hated it because it sounds French, and I've been told it's Persian, and I am neither. No disrespect to my French folks out there who are Persians. I'm just saying, I'm neither, so I never liked it. And when Starbucks became popular, I was like, this sounds like a drink. Like, I don't want a coffee or a cappuccino. Can I get a venti Cauveé, please? Like, can I get that? Like, let me get that. And so what's just hilarious is how these different assets have come to be by, and it makes me think about the Steve Jobs quote. He says, it doesn't make sense moving forward and going through it, but it makes sense looking back. And as you're looking back and as you're evolving and you're growing, that's what the journey is. And I think that is the biggest thing that podcaster can take away from my story. Not only the personal branding, not only becoming a category king or category queen and setting your own bar, but then understanding and allowing things to playfully evolve within knowing what you do. And then it just so happened for me, and not everybody's going to have this problem. I'm not and this was key. I didn't want people to label me as a musician. Unfortunately, because the unfortunate truth is when we think about a musician, it comes with a stereotype, whether they smoke weed or they're a band or they're not serious, like they're not. No, you're going to put me strategist first. You're going to put me entrepreneur first. And so then I was like, all right, I'm not even going to deal with, I'm in the music industry and Hollywood and all that. I'm an entertainer and I'm in the entertainment business. And then that's just
I love that you gave yourself the label. You said, this is what I am. Once again, it's back to self-identity and branding yourself and not being afraid to take authority of what you want to be in this world and how you want to show up. And if, like you said earlier, if we don't take authority in that, someone else will. So it's good that we're doing it. I love
Word to the wise, though.
Yeah.
Systemize one at a time. Systemize and scale one at a time. Don't do them all. Like that was the mistake I made by having like you've got to create keywords for all these, right? It's a ton of content. So make sure that as you are building it, folks, do one, systemize one, scale one, right? Then move to your next, and then move to your next. I want to give everybody that straight up because
that's good.
That was something that we learned along the line.
Yeah, we don't want everything going through the pipeline at one time. That's too much. Yeah. So I love that you were an edutainer. I love that. And so now regarding branding, positioning, authority for podcasters and entrepreneurs who want to grow our audience, who want to convert those listeners into clients or super fans, how do you believe that our branding and our positioning, as we were just talking about, how is that critical for us? Because again, we're showing up to share our souls, our life. We're showing up some of us every week or a few times a week. So as people are listening to us, how do we convert those listeners into those super fans? I kind of use that word very loosely, or even clients for entrepreneurs.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's a great question, but it's two separate. All right, so let's extract both. Right, you got one side of it is the positioning, the ranking, and what you're known for. Yeah. You've got the other side, which is the acquisition and the conversion. Okay, so let's bring those together. Every single person, I want you to think about when you go to a new restaurant. And what most people do when they go to a new restaurant, they're like, man, I want to try something new. I want to, I don't know what sounds good to eat, right? They're going to go on Google or, their Maps link or Yelp or something of this nature. And they're going to look at what most people, the reviews. They're going to look at what people have been saying about this restaurant to make a decision. Is that going to be a place that I am going to go and I am going to partake? So the first thing that I will tell you is positioning is going to be around your initial assets that you have on your brand, which could be your following. This will
Mhm.
be the amount of 5-star reviews that you have. If you're on LinkedIn, this could be your LinkedIn endorsements. This could
Mhm.
be your certifications and your licenses. This could be your degrees. This could be the different things that people are going to look up to see how credible you are. All right.
Right.
Then it's going to move into what are the customers saying about you?
Yeah.
Then it's going to move to let me Google this person. When they Google you, right? The
Mhm.
positioning side, our goal and our objective on, and this is as an agency and as a personal brand, right? Because we help people get media placement, right? And there's a whole game on the strategy side. There's a whole game to influence. And a lot of people don't know the game. They
Right.
don't understand it.
Right.
So we educate them on the game and help them get placed done for you. Okay. But it is so that we know for everybody gets excited. Just real talk.
Yeah.
There is a lot of bad information regarding getting booked. Get booked in Force for $97. Not real. If you're going to
Mhm.
play the media placement game, your 5K, 5,000 minimum up to 125,000, depending on what the platform is. We have Time
Yeah.
Magazine and all the things, so I see the numbers. So I like to give people real talk. Okay. So if
Mhm.
you're going to position and you're going to play the game, meaning that when somebody Googles me, I show up on these assets that are part vanity, let's call it what it is,
Mhm.
and part position. They're both, right? If you
Mhm.
want to go and do a collaboration with a celebrity or an influencer, you're going to pay an endorsement fee or an influencer fee for them to share what you do. It's the same thing with platforms. So I say that saying when they do the Google search, what are they going to find? How great are you at indexing, which is when you do a search, it's the technical
Right.
ways in which they find information. How
Right.
good are you at having your blog, your podcast, your consistency, your quantity, your website? That's foundational.
Yeah.
Then
For
it's
sure.
like from a back, this is called backlinking, folks, for SEO people out there. Backlinking is looking at the domain authority of another site, and
Mhm.
then that links back to your site and how
Mhm.
many of those sites are connected to you.
Yeah.
Most of those are invest for success, aka pay to play. Okay. By having those assets, though, give somebody that, oh, snap, who is this person? Right? When
Right.
you told people that I'm in the Huffington Post and TEDx speaker, no
Yeah.
arrogance, no ego. Most people are like, damn, how do you do that?
Right.
Like
Right.
that's what they're like. Like that's just
Okay.
facts. That was strategically done, folks. Like very strategically positioned as the reason why we did that. And we're not done. In the music world, I got to go buy Rolling Stone's article, and I've got to get certain assets in place to be like, okay, let's stamp that too. But I say that saying that's the positioning side. But why are you positioning? To get people to make a sales decision before they even get on a phone call with you or your team. Before
Wow.
they even go to a discovery session, they are already like, I want to work with Demetria. I want to work with Cauveé.
Right.
That is the goal of positioning,
Right.
right? And telling your story and building your assets. So ultimately, it comes down to we're trying to convert sales at the end of the day. But these
Exactly.
different assets enable us or better enable us to be able to do that. And that would be my advice to podcasters and personal
That is
brand.
great advice, and you broke it down so beautifully. You definitely are an edutainer, the number one edutainer. This is perfect because what you showed us is that how we show up, how we're positioned virtually makes a huge difference in how, like, who we're aligned with. Like you said, when you mentioned Huffington Post in your bio, and when you mention anything that you mention as part of you, an extension of you, it shows up with your branding, and people piece that together. Also, when you talked about backlinks, that's so important because if we're connected to those backlinks that are high quality, then we're connected to that. It makes a difference in search engines, and people. It takes half the work away, right? So half the decision, the work of the decision is already done. So I love that.
And and check this out real quick, Dimitri. I just want to add one more thing in there. I'm
Uh-huh.
doing it on the fly as we speak.
Oh,
I was like,
cool.
how many podcasts are there? It says there are, as of today or mid 2024, 4.52 million podcasts.
A lot.
That's a lot. That's a sea. That is a sea of podcasts. If you want to
And it's
swim and be
growing.
found, you've got to start positioning. Like these are facts.
Yeah.
And so you're not going to have that many people in your category, but you're
Right.
still going to have a large sea that you're competing with. And the better that you can position, the better that people are going to be able to find what you do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I don't know if you've already kind of stepped into the rise and sit methodology, but if not, could you just kind of even take us through what that framework looks like and how that can help podcasters to scale within intention?
Yeah, I love it. So the first thing I'll say is our portfolio. We are a personal brand portfolio. So
Hmm.
think of it like a venture capital company that's a startup,
Okay.
Sequoia or any of these large companies, right? There's a lot of people that we serve, and it depends on which brand we're talking about within the portfolio
Wow.
that can
Okay.
serve you.
That makes
Okay.
sense.
So that's the first thing I'll say.
Hmm.
What I will also add to this is traditionally, not all the time, but traditionally, when you're filling out a form, and you guys have all seen this, it'll sometimes ask you, what is your annual revenue?
Hmm.
And sometimes your annual revenue tells a story as to where you are in your journey.
Yeah.
Sometimes, not always, but
Yeah.
sometimes. Okay. I'm going to give you year marks or year milestones because I think years or experience, as we say, kind
Hmm.
of tell a story in itself.
Hmm.
So traditionally, people between the zero, just started to 2 years, they have a challenge of, I don't have enough clarity. I don't have the edification of a parent or a mentor or somebody to empower me to tell me what's possible.
Hmm.
And I don't have a roadmap.
Hmm.
Okay. But they have the vision. They're like, I see what I am, but I don't know how to bring it into fruition.
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
So this is now where we're talking about in the strategy, the instruction, and the programming, right?
Yeah.
Because that's what you would need in this case.
Hmm.
Someone that might be 2 years to 4 years in, now they've got podcasting content out there. They've got things out there. I'm getting some visibility. I'm getting some success, but help me. I don't know. I need to go to the next level. I'm
Hmm.
not generating enough revenue. Maybe I'm at 75,000 up to maybe 250,000, but
Hmm.
I want to make $1 million. Help me do that.
Hmm.
Now they need strategy. They need sales explosion, which is the
Yeah.
S and rise, right? They need increased visibility. Influence is a large game. It is a very, very large game, and you
Yeah.
need partners that can help you along the way.
Yes.
And
Absolutely.
so that framework that we were talking about, it think of it as it evolves depending on where you are in your journey.
Hmm.
You, as the listener, as the prospect, as the potential person that may be thinking, and hopefully you are thinking, I would love to work with Cauveé. He's awesome. Okay, cool. You don't got to worry about all those things. All I need to know is what is the vision, what is your goal, right? And where are you today? And the application is going to tell me exactly what you need because the framework is already built out, like any curriculum
Oh,
that says you need prerequisites before you get to your core studies. Well,
exactly.
the game of influence is the same. You have certain foundational pieces and assets that you need, and revenue and where you can reinvest in yourself. And then, depending on what the ultimate goal is, and a lot of people come to me, which we don't offer yet, but we're working on it. I want to get on stages and get paid to speak, like 5,000, 10,000 an hour, 50,000 an hour, whatever. We don't provide that yet. But we are moving, looking for a partner that does it as a guarantee in the contract. We get asked this all the time. Or how do I get a TED Talk? So I say all that saying our framework helps you progress from what we say rookie or beginner, right,
Hmm.
to a rising rock star, to a media mogul, and then ultimately to a rock star brand. And at the rock star brand, now we're celebrity level. We're Alex Hormozy, we're Lisa Nichols, we're
Yeah.
Tom W, or whatever you want to name, lose whoever name you want to drop out there. But now
Right.
we're at that level where everybody knows who we are. And
Yeah.
so those are the stages, and we help people through
Okay.
those stages within the framework.
Okay. Okay. And they can come to you at any stage, at any stage. And, or do you
I
have
won't
a
say
certain stage?
any stage. Let
Okay.
let let's let me because I want to be accurate now. I want to be
Okay.
accurate. We have courses and things for you if you're at a certain revenue level. Like a lot of people are like, man, I don't have the capital. That's okay.
Hmm.
You can listen to the podcast. You can get all of our free content. So
Right.
yeah, technically, but they're
Right.
not going to work with me directly at any
Right.
stage. So I want to make sure that that's clear for our
Okay.
listeners so that
You
they
have
understand there's a
resources
certain
available.
investment level we got to be at if you want to work with me personally. But we
Right.
have other assets and things to help you within the ecosystem, depending on where
Okay.
you're at.
Okay, awesome. I love that. And so I love that you told your story of how you were told that no, no music, or, it's not in the books for you, it's not in the cards. And so how you've overcome this, you are helping others to overcome this as well. So there are plenty of creators out there who want to start their podcast, want to move forward with their brands, just a little bit of feeling overlooked, over or underestimated, or they're told you don't really have what it takes to do this work, right? Whoever's telling them this, sad for them. But how do you keep showing up with purpose and boldness despite the negativity?
Ooh, that's a good question. I love that question. So, guys, I'm going to repeat it. I said at the top of the show, I'm going to repeat it again because it's very powerful. 85% men and women throughout the world work a job that they hate. Think about when's the last time you talked to somebody who had a career job and they absolutely loved it. It's so uncommon. So, being that that is what it is, I didn't design it that way, but I understand how it works. The
Mhm.
majority of people that you share your dreams with, you share your ideas with, you're optimistic with, they are going to be naysayers because from
Mhm.
their mirror, and they're not trying to hurt you. Like my parents weren't trying to harm me. They wanted me to go get a pension, be a lawyer, be a doctor, what they understand as success, right? What they understand about life, right? But the fact is, my dad is a factory worker. Facts. Okay.
Yeah.
So he doesn't understand how to be an
Yeah.
entrepreneur. He don't know how to do
It's
that.
not part of his
Okay.
vocabulary. Yeah.
And so I say that saying the majority of people that you're talking to and sharing with is the exact same. Okay. So first off, understand that.
Mhm.
Secondly, make sure you got mentors and coaches that have done what you want to do
Right.
or are doing what you want to do. And majority of mentors and coaches who are quality, they haven't arrived yet either, meaning that they're still going for the next dream, the next goal, the next objective, because every human that is on the optimistic side of the coin, they are progressive or growth oriented. So
Hmm.
you want to make sure that you've got a mentor and a coach that is growth oriented, still getting stuff done, but has
Yeah.
done exactly what you want to do. Okay. And
Mhm.
then the
Yes.
third thing, you want to be in community with people who are like you, right? You want to be in tribes that thrive, right?
Right.
You want to be around people that are dreamers, idealists, and optimists because those are the people that you share with. Now, I will say one last thing though,
Hmm. Hmm.
because I don't want to be a dichotomy or a hypocrite to myself. Don't you know, Demetria, I was at a mastermind with people that were like me. And
Uh-huh.
a gentleman, no disrespect to him, because it was a second gift of ferocity, and I love you for it, Cauveé McDermott. He was making $7,500 a speech at the time. And I'm in
Oh.
this mastermind with him, and I was like, hey, I'm going to be a TED speaker. I don't know why I wanted to do it. I just wanted to do it. And he said the same thing. He said, you can't do that. And I was like, what do you mean I can't do that? Like, okay, game on. That's what I'm going to do. And it's unfortunate that that did come from an optimistic circle. So it can happen. I'm not trying to say like you will always be protected, but what you'll find is the bigger the vision, the more the challenge. The
Right.
bigger the vision, the more people that are going to tell you it's not possible. So just
Wow.
expect it and don't hold any
Wow.
emotional attachment to it. Use
Yeah.
it as a gift of ferocity. Use it as your fuel and your fire and go
Yeah.
prove people wrong and be like, hey, now what? What's up? I did it.
Yeah. I did
That's
it.
how
Here
you
I
got to
am.
utilize it. There you go.
I love that. And so community is a big part of it. You said having a coach that is where you want to be, that can speak into that space before you even arrive. So that's
Yes.
important, choosing the right coach. That's
Yes.
something that I've learned over the years. You have to choose the right person because not everybody's the right one for you.
You want to know something funny, or not funny,
Uh-huh.
but potentially true, depending on what you subscribe to? For people that are Bible subscribers, subscribing to that story, the wealthiest man that ever lived, according to that story, is King Solomon. And if you look
Mhm.
at King Solomon as far as human and flesh, the very first thing he did when he was in office was he surrounded himself with advisors. Now, if the wealthiest man who ever lived, whether you believe that or not, did that action as the
Right.
first thing he did in office, what should you be doing? You can't
Right.
have too many mentors and
Makes
coaches and
perfect sense.
advisors. You just can't.
You can't. It makes perfect sense. And I love that you're all about community, finding people who are going to surround you, who are thinking along the lines of you. Even though there may be a few naysayers here or there, for the most part, right? People who are going to surround you and who are going where you're going or are at least, heading towards success in those areas that you are.
And there's a difference between constructive criticism. We don't want yes men and yes women.
Right.
We want people
That's
that's going to give
important.
it to us straight.
Yeah,
But there's a difference between constructive criticism and naysaying. Those are not the same. Okay.
that's true.
Just understand, like, we're not saying when somebody tells you, like, hey, like, you might want to think about something you didn't see along the road. That's what a good advisor is going to do, hold you accountable. You want
Hmm.
accountability partners. But
Hmm.
at the same time, keep in mind that somebody that just says that you can't do that, that's not possible. Oh, that's hate. See, you hating. So just
Yep.
keep that in mind.
That's so true. So true, Cauveé. This has been awesome. So you are encouraging podcasters to do what's in your heart to do. Don't get caught up in the you can't do this, you can't do that. I mean, podcasting is a very open space. I keep saying that. It is you can do anything you want. Like you can show up and say whatever you want and handle your business however you want to. there's no rules in podcasting. And so I love that. But we do need guidance as far as branding and identity. And so that's where you come in and you help with these strategies, so that, because marketing is a whole animal, it's a beast. And so we need experts who understand like how to work that part of the system. Podcasting is part of the greater whole of the marketing system. So
Absolutely.
Share with us how we can work with you, your coaching, and then I know that you have some goodies for our listeners today, tools and just helps to monetize our podcast. So just share with us what those are and how you can help us.
Yeah, absolutely. So, guys, I'm humble and I'm so grateful for your consciousness, for you to tune in wherever you're tuning into this broadcast from, and for Demetria for allowing this to be. So what we want to do is serve you with absolute value, which is what I would say be a starting point. The starting point that I would recommend is what she was just sharing, which is monetization around your content. That's usually one of the biggest pains that most creators have, is how do I make money from this thing that I love to do? So we've created the Soul Bundle for you. You ain't even gotta, where do I go? It's already linked up in the show notes. Everywhere that this is broadcasted, you'll be able to go to that link. You just click on that link and it'll take you to some special goodies that we have for you, some freebies, in addition to some discounts on some of the trainings and things that we offer. So click that link. That is going to be held at inspirationengineer.com. But again, if you want that special goodie, because that will be private, not everybody will be able to access that, okay? So we will make sure that Demetria has it linked up for you exactly where you go with the code. You will use the code SOUL. And SOUL will make sure that you can unlock some amazing things so that you can really monetize your content the way you want to. And then if you have questions, you want to learn about our coaching, you want to learn about media placement or any other ways that we can serve you, you just send me and my team a message right there on the site, and then we'll serve you accordingly to your needs. So I look forward to meeting each and every one of you. And again, thank you for your time and your consciousness.
That's so awesome. Thank you so much, Cauveé, Inspiration Engineer. You've been awesome. Thank you for your support and showing up today and just doing this work with us.
Hey, likewise. I appreciate you. It's your boy Cauveé. Boost.